What's going on, Walking Dead fans? This is my review for Fear the Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 12, titled In Dreams. This is definitely the saddest Walking Dead episode that I ever watched, and that includes the main show, Fear World Beyond. It's just a very sad episode. The performances, the direction, the cinematography is just brilliant. It's such a beautifully shot episode, but again, it's just very sad, and sometimes it's very hard to watch. Now, the basic plot for this episode is Grace wakes up in the dream and sees what has become of her friends after she's been gone for years, and she struggles to put the puzzle pieces together on what has transpired. So there's two different versions of this episode. There's the dream sequence with Grace, but there's also what's happening in the actual episode with Morgan, with the end is the beginning group, and Grace, who is passed out. Now, in this episode, Grace is about to give birth, and I think her and Morgan were on the road to go to June to deliver the baby. But while they're on the road, the end is the beginning group attack them. An explosion happens. Grace gets hurt. She gets knocked out, and Morgan and Grace have to kind of hide out in these stables or these sheds. And the end is the beginning group are looking for them, of course, because they want Morgan Jones because he has the key to the submarine. Now, many theories online are saying that the key is leading to nuclear weapons, explosive stuff like that. But they want to blow up the real world, the surface world, because they want to live underneath the ground, which is pretty weird. But that's why they want Morgan. So Morgan's hiding out with Grace. He's trying to wake her up so she can give birth or see if she's okay and stuff like that. But Grace wakes up in a dream world 16 years into the future, where Morgan's community is flourishing. It's thriving. Everyone's much older. Old man Morgan with the grey hair and the beard looks pretty well. But yeah, the community looks pretty good. You got Dwight and Sherry have kids now as well. Daniel and Strand are best friends. It seems to be a pretty good place to live. And Grace, who died giving birth to the baby, gets to see her child 16 years later and to see what she has become. And I think it's Atina is the young girl's name. That's what they named her. And she carries around a Walkman that her mother gave her, which is Grace, with all her favourite songs on and stuff like that. But Atina doesn't know straight away that Grace is her mother. And Morgan's like, how can you be Grace? Grace died 16 years ago. This is her grave. And then you have Grace saying, I can't explain it, but I know everything about you, Morgan. I know about your son. I know where you came from. I know how we met. So Morgan finally gives in and believes her, even though it doesn't make any sense. And I didn't know if I was going to be interested in this episode because it's Grace. Now, Grace, I don't dislike Grace, but she's not one of my favourite characters in the Walking Dead franchise. She's not. But I thought Karen David as Grace gave an amazing performance. She was unbelievable. And Lenny James is such a great actor. I will watch him do anything. And in the Walking Dead universe, in the main show, in Fear, he's just always great. In this episode, it's no different whatsoever. But in the dream sequence, she's trying to communicate with Morgan in the real world through the Walkman or walkie-talkies or just stuff like that, because she's trying to get into the real world so she can give birth to the child, because she thinks that she dies giving birth, but her child is the key to the future, to happiness, for Morgan's community to flourish. That's what her motivation in this episode is. Her motivation is to get back into the real world, out of this dream, to give birth so her child can be the new beginning of the world. And that's what her goal is. That's what she thinks is going to happen. But of course, in the real world, the end is the beginning group is hunting down Morgan and her. But also in the dream sequence, they're doing the exact same thing, only as walkers, talking walkers, which I thought was pretty weird, but also pretty cool. But Morgan gets separated in the dream from Grace and Atina. And so they're on their own. And there was kind of a loop where Grace wasn't able to go in one direction. It would reset. I thought that was pretty cool. The same walker kept coming. A Texas t-shirt as well. But I thought that was pretty cool. And it was done really, really well. There was nice music playing throughout the episode as well. The colour from the trees and the flowers, the pink. Really, really pleasing to the eyes. I just liked looking at it. And I thought it was good. But until Grace could realise what her motivation was, only then could she move forward. But in the dream, she ends up in the stables, the sheds. And of course, they have to fight the end is the beginning group as walkers. So that was pretty cool. But then also in the real world, Morgan also has to fight them. But they're not walkers, of course. They're real people. And they have knives. And I was thinking to myself, why didn't they bring guns? This would be over really quickly if they brought guns and just said, give me the key, I have a gun. But maybe their thinking was that in case they had to use the guns, it may have damaged the key some way. They may have shot Morgan the key is damaged, they can't get to the submarine, they can't open it up. Maybe that's what their thinking was, so that's the only reason they brought knives, which kind of makes sense when you think about it like that. But then it's Morgan against like 5 guys. He has a stick, and it was a cool sequence. He takes them all on one by one. He kills them all, and he's about to kill Riley. He stabs him kind of the chest and the arm, and Riley's able to get away. And instead of Morgan chasing after him and killing him, he can't really, because he has to mind Grace, because she's unconscious, she has pains in her stomach and stuff like that. So he has to mind her. Riley runs off, and we think that he might not come back, but he does come back, and he comes back in a vehicle. He rams down the shed walls. He has a gun this time. The gun must have been in the car, and he points it to Morgan. He's like, Morgan, give me the key. I won't hurt you. Just give me the key. I want it. But Morgan doesn't want it, because if these people are bad enough to hunt him down for a key, then their overall plan or what they're up to must not be that good. But Morgan doesn't want to give it to him. But Grace is screaming at Morgan, give him the key. The key's not important. And basically, it was kind of a cool symbolism in this episode, because Grace thought the key to the future was her baby, not the actual key, which I thought was pretty cool. So Morgan gives Riley the key, and Riley leaves. So Riley leaves. He doesn't hurt them whatsoever. He's a man of his word. He left with the key, going back to Teddy, of course, the cult leader. So Morgan is there with Grace, and he has to help Grace deliver the baby. And you know what? In this episode, it was pointing towards Grace dying and the child living. And Morgan has a way forward to build his community around this newborn child, Grace's child. But, then I was thinking, maybe Grace and the child will survive. That would be pretty sweet. That would be pretty nice. But as she's giving birth, she's listening to music on the Walkman that she plans on giving to her daughter, because in the dream sequence, that's what she had. That's what she treasured from her mother, Grace, which was pretty cool as well. But she's listening to the music, and we can hear the music as well, and we can't hear her scream because she's giving birth. So Morgan's look on his face is of concern. He has the child in his arms. But then Grace takes off the headphones, and there's no crying. And then we're like, oh my God, what's going on? So Morgan takes the baby to the side. And I was thinking that what would happen would be a delayed reaction from the baby. The baby would end up crying. Grace survived. Everyone's happy. Sweet episode, stuff like that. But the child never cried, and it was a stillborn. And it was very hard to look at that scene. It really was, because you could see in Morgan and Grace, on their face, on their expressions, how devastated and broken that they were. And Morgan was like, I don't understand, because Grace for the entire episode was telling Morgan, she's the key. This child is the key to the future. I'm going to die, but the child would live on. And Morgan's confused, like, what? You said that it would. You said it would be okay. And Grace is like, the dream was a lie. It didn't happen. And, there was no score playing. There was no music playing or anything like that. It was just a heartbreaking scene to watch. And the camera panned out, and then it just cut to black. And the episode really sticks with you after. It really does. And I felt so bad for the characters. I don't know how Grace is going to be able to come back from this, or Morgan, because it's such a heartbreaking thing. And you can blame the End is the Beginning group for this as well, because maybe they caused it. I'm not too sure. But they caused Grace to get hurt. That could have been the reason, or it could have been from the nuclear plant that Grace used to work at with her husband. That could be the problem as well. Even she was concerned about that also. So it could be a number of factors. We just don't know why it happened. But it was a stillbirth, very hard to watch. And I don't know where we go next week into next week's episode, or Morgan's arc, or Grace's arc. I think what's going to happen right now is that Morgan's going to have a vengeance. He wants to get revenge against these people because they caused this car crash to happen, for Grace to get hurt. And I think the axe that's very much planted back at the community, I think he's going to pick that out of the ground. And I think he's going to go and start a war with these people. And you know what? He's going to be driven by madness and by revenge. And you know what? I kind of can't disagree with him whatsoever. It's very much how Rick reacted when Carol died. He wanted to kill Negan. But it took him a while to realise that maybe killing this in the way for a community to be built. And I thought Morgan was actually growing as a character. I thought he was stronger than a Negan or a Rick, because they were starting their communities off by killing people. And Morgan, using Virginia as an example, didn't want to start his community by killing Virginia. He wanted his community to be free of all this stuff. But now he may pick that axe out of the ground and go to war with these people, because these people aren't playing around. And if the theories are true that maybe it's nuclear weapons and they want to blow up, the upper world, then it could mean bad things. So I think the ending for Fear this season is going to be a huge one. We've got, 4 episodes left. Looking forward to it. But this was an episode that was a great episode. Really well written. The performance, as I said, from Karen David, fantastic. She was amazing, absolutely brilliant. But it's not an episode that I want to go back and rewatch. I just don't, because of how sad the ending was. The rest of the episode, 100% great. I'd watch it any time, but that little part at the end, I just can't put myself to watch it again. And I think it's amazing how a show that's about zombies, about a zombie apocalypse, can bring something that happens every single day in our real world into this show. And I'm sure there's many females out there who have lost a child, and guys as well, but women who've gone through a stillbirth like this, giving birth to a child who isn't breathing, and they can really relate to that. And I appreciate that the writing team were able to deliver this in such a really, really good way. And I didn't see any backlash online from it. I'm sure there's people out there who can really relate to this and really appreciate Fear the Walking Dead touching this. And I bet you a lot of characters will feel for Grace even more now. And after this episode, I like Grace as a character big time. I just thought the performance from Karen David, especially with the writing she was given, the dialogue, everything like that, I think it really helped her as an actress being given the right material. Because in the last few episodes, or episodes that we get to see her, she's not really given much to do. And in this episode, she got to show off her acting chops, and she was amazing. And I'm interested to see what Grace's arc is right now. Is hers revenge, or what exactly is her arc going forward? I'm interested. I really am. I think this was an amazing episode. Performances were great. Cinematography, direction, music, score, everything was fantastic. Fear the Walking Dead is one of the best shows on television right now. I really mean that. It's fantastic. It really is. And if they can keep this up for episode 13, 14, 15, 16 for the season finale, they have 16 amazing episodes with some ups and downs, some heartbreak, but 16 solid episodes that are absolutely amazing that I've enjoyed this season. But guys, what's your thoughts on this episode? How sad were you at the ending? I was very sad. It stuck with me after. I still can't believe it, but they held back no punches. This is what happens in the real world. This is what happens in the zombie apocalypse. I thought it was brilliant. But guys, give a like, comment, subscribe. Please, I really appreciate it. Come follow me on all the social medias, movies that matter. But get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about this episode. Did you like it? Maybe some people won't like this episode because of how graphic it was at the end and what exactly it showed. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. But guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And I'll catch you next week for review of episode 13.